Hi, and welcome to Empowered Marketing by Professor Hines. This podcast is devoted to beginning marketers and owners of small businesses. We're here to help you learn social media marketing. Each episode presents important elements in social media marketing that you can use in your campaigns to generate better results, especially more business. Empowered Marketing is exclusively sponsored by A-Cubed Marketing Services in Orange County, California. A-Cubed Marketing Services serves small and mid-sized businesses in the areas of strategic marketing consultation, social media marketing using all forms of social media, campaign creation and management in both paid and owned media, pay-per-click campaigns, search engine optimization, graphic design, and videography. A-Cubed Marketing is owned and managed by me, Professor Joe Hines. My experience includes over 20 years of Fortune 100 corporation marketing management, as well as 10 years of academic work as professor at California State University Fullerton, Concordia University, Biola University, Cal Baptist University, and Fullerton College. You can find out more about A-Cubed Marketing Services. Use the link on the homepage of this podcast or call A-Cubed Marketing at 714-872-0561. Hey everybody, I know it's been a little while since we last met. I've been really busy finishing the semester and completing a few client projects. I hope the time off's seen you happy and successful in growing your business through social media marketing. This is episode 19 in the Empowered Marketing podcast series. We're talking about the social commerce community today. And in this episode, we're covering how to use social media tools in the social commerce community. How social commerce tactics work with your consumers to move them toward activation or purchase, the 4 moments of truth, and how social media plays an important role in helping you guide your consumers through each of the 4 moments. The most important elements within social commerce, specific tactics that work within the first stage in the consumer journey, which is problem recognition. And last, today, we'll talk about specific tactics that work within the second stage in the consumer journey, information search. Be sure and access the PowerPoint presentation I've made to go along with today's episode. You can download it using the link in the post. If you'd like to talk with me about how the information can be put to work in the context of your business, you can also schedule a free consultation. Use my Calendly app on the homepage of my website. Or go to https://calendly.com/a-cubed_marketing/introductory-consultation to schedule some time with me. So it's time to head back to our lecture hall at Whittier College. I'm looking forward to sharing some great content with you today. Yeah, that'll help. Okay. So far, in terms of looking at these different zones in social media, we've talked about the community zone a couple of weeks ago. And then we talked about the publishing zone, which was the last week. Tonight, we're going to transition again and talk about this thing called the social commerce zone. Okay, which is here. So in here, they're talking about CRM. Do you guys know what CRM stands for? Have you ever heard that acronym before?
Customer Relationship
Management.
Oh, you said
M.
You said M, so I tried taking a guess.
Well, it was a pretty good guess. 2 out of 3 letters ain't bad. So, customer relationship management is an approach in IT, partially sales. It's really enterprise-wide, meaning most functioning areas of the company kind of aggregate around it or underneath it. And it's there to facilitate e-commerce partially, and it's also there to make the company a learning organization so that as we can use technology these days to do a better job of marketing and learning about the consumers who come to our sites to buy stuff. One example of what can be done within a CRM network is something that a company called Tesco has been doing with their research partner called dumbhumby for a long time. Do you guys ever heard the name Tesco before? They're the #1 largest grocery store chain in the world. They're headquartered in the United Kingdom. And what they do is they track their customers' purchases, and they learn about their customers from purchase to purchase to purchase. Now, mind you, Tesco is doing their business in a brick and mortar environment, okay? Whereas most of the time when we think about CRM, we're thinking more about an e-commerce situation. But one example of what Tesco can do with the data that they collect is, imagine that week after week you've got a family that comes in with a frequent buyer number associated to their name. And you've been tracking forever that, this seems to be like a couple living together who are buying their groceries and household needs. And for the first time ever, the person at the checkout stand scans diapers or scans baby food. That means something in their environment. That means, there's been a massive change in this couple's household. There's a baby living there now. So now all of a sudden, Tesco starts emailing them with offers to, buy all of their other baby needs there. Because they've registered that there's been a change, so now they're offering up more opportunities to come into Tesco and buy their stuff. Now, 6 months, a year goes by, and they watch the size of the diapers that are being purchased get bigger and bigger, and they're watching that the baby's going from powdered formula to, pureed baby food to now all of a sudden they're eating more solid foods. So that signifies that there's additional changes happening. Now this baby who was an infant is now entering into a toddler stage. Now we should begin to offer them additional products. So Tesco is always in a position to be able to evolve and cross-market products that they offer in their store and upsell as they track the evolution of their consumers as they go through life stages. It's pretty interesting use of technology. Some people say it's pretty invasive, and I guess in kinds of ways it is. But it also can be a service to the consumer too. So what that is an example of, in some ways, is an example of social commerce, okay? And in social commerce, in this social commerce zone, what's really happening is we're tracking and we're using social media tools in order to directly market to people. So far we've talked about community. How do we get our brand awareness up to larger levels? And that's community. And then when we got into publishing is how do we take advantage of engagement on social media and ideas like social footprints and social identity and social objects, and how do we use all of that to get our consumers to publish information or republish, retweet, repost, whatever, brand information that was originally published on all of the owned media, taking it from an owned media thing into an earned media thing, which was one of the questions that you guys had on this project over the weekend. So now in social commerce, we're going beyond just getting people to talk and share information, and we're now using social media to actually sell products, really engaging them a lot more deeply now in actual e-commerce activity. So wanting to help you guys understand this better, I found a pretty good article on this. It came out just recently in this publication called Hospitality Net. And like most publications these days that have anything to do with business, they're talking lots and lots about what's happening in social media. So in this article, it's called Social Commerce, the hottest retail trend of 2019. I'll share it with you. social commerce. The use of social networks to send traffic to e-commerce sites and ultimately drive e-commerce purchases, hi there, is having its moment. Exactly how fast is social commerce growing? Are certain demographics engaging more heavily? Which platforms are best positioned to capitalize on the trend? How is it likely to evolve? So recently, eMarketer tackled these questions in an in-depth report. If you want the report, you have access to the link. You can get it here. Here are 5 key findings from the research that marketers should know. How fast is social commerce growing? What share of referral traffic is it responsible for? And we're going to be talking about referral agents later tonight too. So we'll look more closely at referral in a few minutes. Social commerce growth has been breathtaking over the past couple of years. According to data from Adobe, as cited by eMarketer, social media is the fastest growing driver of e-commerce referrals. Between the third quarter of 16 and the third quarter of 18, so just 2 years, click-through traffic from social jumped by 110%. That means it more than doubled. While traffic from sources such as referring domains and direct accessing dropped. So watch, here's the statistics, right? In 2 years, now this first chart says growth in visit share to U.S. retail sites by last touched channel. Okay, so for instance, if it was paid search, right, SEO and is part of getting people more to your site, but we've also got all of the paid advertising on Google Network, et cetera, et cetera. Paid search only grew 16%. But what really, really grew was these social networks and using social media sites themselves to get people to locations where they can actually buy grew more than twice, okay? Something to keep in mind is that the share of total referral traffic to e-commerce sites driven by social media is still relatively modest. Meaning, look, even in the first quarter of this current year in 19, it stood at just 9%. Here's the next big chart, U.S. social referral share of traffic to e-commerce sites. So how are we getting people to these e-commerce sites? I think I want to shrink this a little bit. Okay, so you can see here that in 2016, between the first and third quarter, we had some small growth, 3 to 5%. Then it was pretty flat here at 5, then up to 6. Pretty significant growth ever since first quarter of 2018. This is, so you look at the different growth in visit share to U.S. sites and where did the traffic come from. And this is saying that, look, these social networks, majority of all the traffic to these retail sites came from the social networks themselves. And then this next thing is saying, well, if it grows quarter to quarter, then you can really see a pretty strong growth starting around 2017 in the first quarter. It was pretty slow here, flatlined here, and then it really took off starting first, quarter of 2017 through the current date. Share of U.S. internet users that have engaged in social commerce, and they look at it demographically. So again, if you're on social media and now you're buying things online and they're saying, well, where is most of it coming from? Here, if you compare it by gender, it still is more female than male, but there's been growth over time on both of the genders. Age-wise, it's still pretty much in the 18 to 34-year-old category, but there's still been growth everywhere. And then which platforms are best positioned to capitalize on the growth of social commerce? And they go behind this. And what they say is, look, let's take a look across Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat and Pinterest and Twitter. And they say, well, what are all the different activities that people perform on the social sites? And what you look at is viewing photos, watching videos, all the things we know about. But if I was really going to want to find a social platform where I was going to really actually try to use it for selling people or driving them to my e-commerce page, I'd have to do it here on Instagram and Facebook. And that's really found here, finding shopping for products, 11% and 15% compared to these others. But Pinterest is huge at 47%. That really stands out. And then the next one here is promoting my business. And predominantly it's going to be Instagram, slightly higher than the other 4 major channels. So you can go into a lot more detail in this report, but the big story here is social commerce is the big story in 2019. Okay. Well, what really happens in social commerce? And the first thing is it's all about social shopping. Come on now. Social shopping, social marketplaces, and a hybrid channel, which is a site or a channel that has a mixture of purposes. And the tools that support the shopping experience, and we'll look at a number of these tools tonight. So social commerce enables people in their shopping patterns and behaviors, meaning it addresses networks of buyers and sellers to participate actively in the marketing and selling of products and services in online marketplaces and communities. So it could be eBay, it could be Amazon, it could be an online mall experience, it could be a lot of places. And then we look at the relationship between social commerce, websites that sell stuff, and social shopping, which is the behavior that we've looked at before, like the consumer journey that we've looked at a lot of times. So first point is social media's opportunity and role in shaping recommendations and experiences. So we're going to look at tonight things like automated chatbots that actually directly speak with, feels like, consumers and helps facilitate the buying process without having to use shopping carts, okay? Or it could be automated referral agents, which take in information from the consumer about the kinds of things that consumers are looking for, and then based on the input, offers up a series of suggestions. But it's really database and AI facilitated. The next point, social commerce is the commercial application of social media. So I've made that point a couple of times tonight. Both of these things are driving the acquisition, meaning acquiring new customers, the actual conversion of customers, and holding on to those customers over time. And we can hang on to those customers using things like email as reminders to people. Hey, it's been a while since you visited our site. We've got some new items that maybe it's worth you checking out based on your prior purchasing activity. You know, let's say that you've been on, you name it, kayak. So you've bought, airline tickets in the last year, and it remembers that, and it remembers that you bought it for you and, a friend to go travel. It was you and your wife, same last name, 2 different genders, right? And it recognizes this, and maybe it sees that, hey, you guys did your last vacation travel 6 months ago. Well, maybe it's going to offer you up now, hey, did you know that we've got specials on going to Fiji or going to Hawaii, and they're going to send these out in the winter months. Let's say that you're a couple that lives in the Northeast. Well, man, I tell you, February, when you're living in Detroit, Fiji sounds a really good place to visit right now and get out of all the cold. So they're going to take advantage of that, and they're going to offer you travel deals based on your purchase activity before. So that's the way that they retain. Because the chances are, if you look at statistics, could be that there are statistics out there that say people tend to do vacation travel when they're in a particular age band in their life every 6 months or so. And it's going on 4.5, 5 months now since these people recently purchased anything for travel. Right now is a great time to hit them up to buy it through our site. Okay? Social commerce uses social media applications to enable shoppers to interact and collaborate. What are we really doing here when we're asking people to interact and collaborate together online? What techniques and from which zone are we borrowing from? If we're asking them to collaborate and communicate together online, what are we doing? It's like social publishing is one, and maybe community too, right? The act of getting together and communicating. So we're borrowing from that. It helps buyers to complete the stages of the purchase decision process. So just as a refresher, what are the 5 stages in the decision process, you guys?
Research.
That would be the second phase. What's phase 1?
Discovery.
Need awareness. Then you go into research, and then what's number 3? Evaluation, right? And then we go into purchase, and then we go into
Think about experience. Retention.
review the experience, and then hopefully it's good for the brand. If we are really happy campers, we're going to go online and we're going to do what? Word of mouth or advocacy. So that's what we're talking about. The social commerce tools that have been developed kind of graduate consumers from phase to phase to phase and facilitate the communication that happens in those phases. Social commerce helps marketers in selling to customers. There's a lot of ways we'll see that happens tonight. So here's basically the process, right? First thing that happens is, the consumer here is initially in his, call it desire phase. He's thinking about buying a new gadget, maybe for his home entertainment system, right? And so the first thing he thinks of is, I'm bored here at home. I don't really like the gear I have to listen to my music with or to watch television with or movies or whatever. So he's aware of a need. Then the next piece is, well, look, if I'm going to buy a home entertainment system, I'm spending a couple of $1,000 to do it. So I'm not going to just go out and buy. That second phase was, I'm going to do my research. So we're learning a lot and we're evaluating. And then finally we make our selection and we go. So this is all the process that this guy is going through. However, what we have not talked about yet is down here, the role that other people play in the consumer's decision making. And so when we look at social media and we look at being able to harness other people's input and opinions and make, our brand fans and followers and the people who buy our stuff into a surrogate sales force, this is what we're talking about, okay? So there's a thing in here called the moment of truth. That's a theory, moment of truth, M-O-T. When we talk about the moment of truth, you're going to see that there's actually 3 distinct phases in this thing they call the moment of truth. The first one is, what impact has prior experience to brand messaging already had on you as a potential customer and the way that you think about my company's product or service? Meaning that they've always said that advertising plays a role in predisposing consumers to think about brands in a certain way. In military terms, they used to talk about the fact that advertising is kind of like the role of the Air Force in a military campaign. The Air Force flies by, kind of levels everything that could pose a real threat on the ground, like the ability to manufacture weapons and taking out the train lines and the freeways and things, so it makes it harder for the Army to get around. So that finally, when your Army hits the ground and fights a land war, it can win it a lot more effectively. Well, the land war in business and marketing is really being conducted by the sales force. So the advertising is really the flyover that makes it easy later for the sales guys to get the job done. Do you understand the analogy I'm giving you? Okay, so this 0 moment of truth is all about the impact that advertising and social media have already had on how likely a customer is to purchase that product or brand in the future. Now, the first moment of truth happens when the customer's actually going through the store. Let's say that I'm thinking I'm going to buy my stuff at Best Buy. So I drive in my car down to Best Buy, park the car in the lot, go into the store, and I don't recognize a lot of the brands that are in there, But a few of them that I see, I do know about because I heard an ad on Pandora, and I saw a display ad on one of my pages in Google, on my last Google search, and I saw some people speaking really well about Best Buy and some of their products on Yelp. That was my exposure from social media, and the sum effect of that makes me more likely now to do it. The moment that I have that, positive experience and put that product in my shopping cart is called the first moment of truth. The zero happened before I ever stepped foot in the store. First moment is when I saw it, did I actually pick it up off the shelf and stick it in my shopping cart, okay? The second moment of truth uses the product. Let's say I bought it and I'm using it and I'm saying, man, there were a lot of promises made that led me to buy this gadget, whatever it was. Is my actual experience matching what I thought I was going to get before I bought this thing? That would be called the second moment of truth. So you can see that this is not really terribly different from the consumer journey that we've been talking about a lot. But in the consumer journey, what we're really saying is what are the behaviors that are occurring? And in this model, what we're really looking at is what has the impact of the advertising been in the mind of the consumer. So we're looking at it from a different perspective. The prevalence and the availability of information online includes the social channels we visit and all of the things that have been created by the brands that we follow online, and they've put out there on their owned media, their websites and their social media pages. And those things have changed how consumers go about the information searching process. Used to be, before social media, we used to go out there and if we were going to buy a car, we'd go to the magazine stand and buy Car and Driver, or we'd buy Consumer Reports, or maybe I'd notice that 60 Minutes was going to do a review of the next year's coming line of new cars, and I was going to be sure and watch that. Now, most of the time, consumers are going to social media and doing all of their research right there. And the social media then has the impact of, look, this is the stimulus, this is the brand message. My zero moment of truth is, what do I already think about the brand and the product before I buy it? The first moment of truth is, did my predisposition have the impact of plunking it into my shopping cart? And the second moment of truth is, when I got it, brought it home, and started using it, was I the happy camper I thought I was going to be? Well, there are three major social commerce elements that we're going to look at through this model. One of the important ones is, what do other people say about these products? And other people include maybe bloggers who frequently write about the category that you're buying in. They could be fans of the brand and people who follow those brand pages. They could be people that are actually in your personal social network. It could be the public who's going to Yelp and posting on somebody's Yelp page. But by and large, what we're talking about in this first phase are ratings and reviews, information that are coming from people other than the brand. The second piece is we're looking at curated merchandise. Curated merchandise, well, do you know what curation is first before I go into curated merchandise? Think about an art museum. People who take care of displays in any museum setting are often called curators because they're responsible for assembling all the things that are going to go into that exhibit and taking care of the exhibit. So you can have them in museums, you can have them in art galleries, but people who have Pinterest pages, for instance, are also curators of a sort. They're pinning things that they like that pertain to different categories that they're interested in. So what we're doing is we're relying on ratings and reviews, but we're also relying on these curated pages, and we're also looking at curated merchandise. There are online malls that don't exist anywhere on brick and mortar, but there's a bunch of small companies or smaller companies that have all got pages on these online malls. So Amazon could be considered curated merchandise. because Amazon doesn't make any of the things that they sell, but they sure do provide a big, huge store for people to go in and find anything in any category that you could want. eBay is a site full of, if you think about it this way, full of curated merchandise. Each one of those people have their own page. So maybe the people that has an ad or a page of their own on eBay, maybe that guy could be thought of as the guy that owns the stall at the monthly swap meet. And that swap meet in general, the whole parking lot where the swap meet is held, could be thought of as a big curated online store only in real time. Okay? The third thing would be this shopping applications and venues. So shopping applications could be Groupon. It could be other options like that. So it's all the tools that we have to help people find our stuff and buy our stuff. So whether a brand is active in social media or not, consumers are always posting their own ratings and reviews, meaning that even if I've been really lazy about talking about my brand lately, there are still people who are passionate about my stuff who are creating some small percentage of content out there, number one. And two, as a brand, it's much more in your favor as the brand to shift and shape the conversation and the tonality and the way that your products are talked about, rather than just simply relying on people who you can't control the way they talk about it. Okay? So as the brand, it's best to try to influence the customer's journey rather than just know that people are going to be influenced out there by the content of the posts that other people are creating. Like, I'd rather generate a lot more stuff that I know is more persuasive and pro-me than let the rest of the world do it for me. We've been talking about ratings and reviews, so there's some really great statistics that'll help you guys get an appreciation for how important these reviews are. The first one is 95% of consumers report having read reviews prior to making a purchase decision. 95%. Do you guys include yourself in that 95? Have you ever read reviews and testimonials about brands? Tell me about a time when you did that and actually was kind of a clincher and you going to buy the product.
I would buy Apple Watch.
Apple Watch. Okay, so you read something online about it?
Yeah, I did my research and I read something online on the US.
Okay. Anybody else have a recent experience?
I was reading reviews on Android because my phone price is like $1,000. So I was trying to figure out if I should stay with Apple or
Mm-hmm. Which way did you go?
I stayed with Apple.
Okay. 66% of consumers read 1 to 10 reviews before they buy something. That's 2/3 of everybody is reading at least one review. 70% of people who buy as mobile shoppers, meaning they pull out their smartphone to make their purchase, are more likely to purchase if the mobile site or the app includes a review. 82% seek out negative reviews as an indicator of authenticity. Remember we talked about authenticity? Okay, what was authenticity about? How does it work?
It's when a company lets there be bad reviews basically about them because they don't want everything to be perfect because it's kind of like too good to be true.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of times with authenticity, if there's a problem, they will try to address it, but they let it be on their site or on Yelp because they don't want to look too fake or they don't ever want to think.
Good. So 82% are looking for the bad reviews, not because they don't want to buy the product, but because they want to know that all the good stuff that's been said is real. And then finally, 60% have viewed a review on their smartphone while shopping in a store. Have you ever done that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
I compare prices.
I'm going to show you a website that'll help you do that more in the future later tonight. Yeah. Okay. So here's our familiar model, right? Problem recognition, information search, alternative evaluation, purchase, and then post-purchase evaluation. So we're going to look at phase 1 first, problem recognition. Okay? Let me take you to a page on this real quick. All right. 5 marketing strategies to influence consumer purchasing behavior. Engage with your audience both online and offline. Yeah? In the digital world, everyone's hyper-connected and consume content on multiple platforms and devices. Companies can start a conversation on various social media platforms and engage their audience in it. However, consumers have now become more skeptical of businesses and more cautious with their spending on a particular product or service. So, it's important to engage customers in conversations where they perceive your message and intentions as sincere. Another strategy is understand the needs of your potential customers. To influence consumers' decisions about buying a product or a service, companies need to understand their requirements and identify how to deliver a marketing message that appeals to them. Let's go back to CRM for a second, customer relationship management. If I can get somebody to my website and get them to my cart, what else I can do on my site is ask them a survey question or two every time they come to my site. And I can gradually learn a little bit more every time they come and buy, not only by what they buy and the kind of activity that I can observe, but I can just outright ask them questions. I can take that information and lock it away and use it and share it within my company so that the next time, let's say that there's a customer service agent who's observing the shopping activity of somebody online, she or he can then enter into that conversation directly with the person. She or he is already educated somewhat about the consumer and their preferences and their interests, and take a direct role in, hey, I noticed, that you purchased something recently from us. Did you also know that we also sell a couple of items that go great with that? Can I cross-sell you or can I upsell you? And so now all of a sudden we're taking customer service and we're physically engaging them in speaking online through a chat screen or something with people in real time as they make their way through. What this has the result of doing is fewer abandoned shopping carts and a greater level of sales. Now, the big magic around customer relationship management is you ask yourself as a company, how can I grow more profitably? Should I always be looking for new customers? Or should I be looking to continue to do more business with my existing customers? Which of those two options sounds more appealing to you? It's way cheaper. Now look, there is a thing called the customer life cycle, and there's it's always the same shape. They last longer or shorter depending on how you manage the relationship. Okay, going up and down this way, I have to look at the money. It starts here usually, okay, like this, and this looks a lot like the product life cycle too. Okay. This negative space in here exists because I had to spend money in advertising and sales dollars to bring that customer into my fold for the first time. Okay? So in the early purchases by this one customer, I'm losing money in here. Over time, I'm going to be making, and this guy's going to be buying more and more from me. But at a certain time, sales on this one customer are dropping off. If I let this happen, it's inevitable. It's going to happen with every customer that I sell. But if I don't manage properly, this is going to be a really short up and down kind of a cycle. But if I manage it well, I can stretch out, what would we call this if this was a product life cycle? What is this phase here called? Maturity. Right, this is maturity. If I manage the customer relationship well, which is why it's called customer relationship management, if I do this properly, I can make this really a long time. And I can make it more profitable and last longer by finding new products to sell to this customer and new occasions to sell to the customer for, and upsell him and get him to buy, a more expensive premium version of the product, etc., etc., etc. So that I get a much larger return on investment for every customer that I spent to acquire in the first place. That's the whole magic between CRM, or with CRM, and that's why they do it, okay? Basically, it's share of market or share of customer wallet. Because if that customer doesn't buy it from me, she's still gonna buy it. So I want to, as the e-commerce marketing guy, I want to do everything I can to make sure that I get those dollars from his wallet or her wallet versus some other retailer out there who's going to get it instead. Because I spent the time and money to find, locate, market, and convert that customer. I want to make sure he continues to buy from me. Okay? So understand the needs of your potential customers is that number 2. Apply the golden rule. Number 3, being attractive has its perks, and it can increase a business's likability and its trustworthiness. Striking website design has the power to influence customers and compel them to buy products and services of a particular company. So they spend an enormous amount of time studying the layout of a page and where certain messages are placed on a page and what information should occur above the fold versus below the fold. Remember we talked about the fold a couple of weeks ago? And I said the fold is, if you've got a computer monitor like this, and without having to scroll yet, I can see all the way down to the bottom line of the monitor, that's above the fold. Imagine if this is back in the newspaper days, right? When that newspaper got delivered to your door, it was like this. So maybe the masthead of the paper is here, and this is the way that it gets delivered. Well, here's the fold, and here's the rest of the paper. So this is below the fold. Okay, that's where that comes from. So they spend a ton of time doing user or usage studies, and they call this UX. Have you ever heard the term UX or GUI? UX is, what is the user experience like on my website? And GUI is what the graphic user interface of the site. So this we talked about a few weeks ago, the brand experience on the page. All these terms roll together, right? This all works together to make sure that we're selling as much as we can. Now, the fourth thing is, use the foot in the door technique. This concept is used to increase compliance rates and influence consumers to make a purchase decision. In simple words, it's a tactic that aims at getting a person to a bigger request by making them agree to a modest request first. Now, we're going to see that this has a lot to do with influence and persuasion as we get to the end of tonight's lecture, okay? But just hold on to that thought right now. If I want people to make a big yes later on in my relationship with them, the way I get them to the big yes is to get them to say yes to small things first, okay? 5, be available 24/7 for your customers. If companies want to influence consumer behavior, then they need to focus on making emotional connections with them through positive customer experiences. And that's possible when they are available for their customers 24 hours a day and 7 days a week to resolve their queries. So one model of internet sales is service-based. So have you guys ever heard of a company called Constant Contact? Okay, Constant Contact has an email version of a newsletter that you can send out to your customer base as a drip campaign over time. Reminder about your brand, reminder about who you are, develop that relationship slowly, and eventually some of those customers should convert. There are a lot of companies out there that have a system something like Constant Contact. One of them is MailChimp. Have you ever heard MailChimp before? Yeah. Okay. Constant Contact is, in my experience, way better than most of the other companies. And the most important reason in my finding was because whenever early in the game I was struggling to build these email programs for my clients and having trouble with design or how the website worked and how the functions happened to work, et cetera, they have a phone number that I can call and get a live body on. Like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That is so amazing to somebody who's a small business, and that's really Constant Contact's customer base or small businesses, to have that kind of level of support for free, right? Now, another example would be WordPress versus Squarespace. WordPress and Squarespace are two companies that have platforms that people build websites on. With WordPress, they don't have anybody that you can go to and talk to about how do I do X, Y, or Z with your platform? There's just no help available, and when you use WordPress, that's what you're signing up for. They got great software if you know how to use it, but if you don't, forget about it, you're just shut out of luck, okay? Squarespace, the same exact thing. When I was kind of figuring out first how to use Squarespace, I could get them on this chat line within just a few minutes, or I could get them on the phone, and boom, there they were, and it made my life way easier. So who do you think has had a better, in my mind as a user, who would I rather work with? Constant Contact, or MailChimp, or Squarespace, or WordPress? So that's how you can build customers, is the amount of service that you provide. Because to a lot of people, this technology thing is like foreign to me. I don't get it. And there's a big, long learning curve until you really get good at it. So, tactics. The first stage that we're in here is recognizing that I've got a problem that I can only solve by buying some new solution to it. Like, my tires are bald, I'd better go out and get some new tires. That starts the whole process, right? And it can be facilitated by other social commerce tools that we're going to look at, but this is the jumping on, part of the journey here. Okay, this is when customers get involved. Ways that we can address that need for to build awareness and make sure that our brand is recognized is with social ads. So I as my company, I buy an ad on Facebook, or I buy it on another social network site, or I buy ads on Google. Shared endorsements from friends. Okay, so people that are in my network that have already been through this problem solved, that went out and bought the Firestone or the Uniroyal or the Dunlap tires and were really happy. Or curated images. For instance, in Pinterest. And we saw that of all the channels and which ones are most effective for leading to sales, we saw that Pinterest was the number one in terms of generating new social e-commerce business, okay? And then we can also do location-based promotions. Do you remember at the beginning of the semester we talked about beacons? Do you guys remember that talk? A beacon, imagine a little thing about half this size, okay? And it sticks up on the wall of your retail shop, and it has a little radio transmitter inside there. And the little transmitter pings your cell phone with a message so that if you're anywhere within proximity of this little gadget on the shopkeeper's wall, you're going to get pinged. And it might be inviting you into the Starbucks to get half off on your, holiday gingerbread, latte. And somebody had a question back there? Yeah.
Have you ever gotten pinged by one of those?
I have. Yeah, have you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. You have to be, looking for it maybe. Or I set my phone in that direction because I'm interested by the technology and I want to see what's happening. Okay. But those things are out there and they can bring you in. There are other devices where once you get within the store, they know where you are. And if you're hanging out for a long enough time around where the guy's pants are located, they might send you a ping that says, hey, we've got some shoes that would go killer with those pants. Come out and check our shoe deals now. So they're following you around the store and they're trying to get you to take longer in the store and buy from multiple, departments within the store to up your overall purchase. And they've got participatory commerce. So Kickstarter is another thing. Are you guys familiar with participatory commerce? This is something like eBay or Craigslist or whatever, where people are occupying a role of themselves within this social commerce. Participatory commerce has two definitions. That was the first one. And the second one here is where, have you guys ever been to the Nike website? Have you ever been to where it's kind of like Build-A-Bear? I mean, it's really neat. Let me show you what they've got going on the Nike site.
Do the options change based on which country you pick? So say you pick another country, would it give you different options at the top?
Let's find out. From here, I should be able to start adding features. Here it is. Okay, so customize. And I'm going to customize this shoe. And I can start making a bunch of changes here. I think I can change the sole. All right, so now I can start picking my colors. What colors do we want to have on here, guys? Yellow. Okay, let's go yellow. All of them. Okay. Green. Okay, so it changes out different portions of the shoe. Anyway, so we can change different options of the shoes, and then basically you've designed a custom pair of shoes for yourself, and that'll help people, get into it and want to buy it, right? Because it's unique to you. So it's a sales model that allows shoppers to participate in the design, selection, or funding of the products that they purchase. We're going to look at the second stage of this now. Information search, yeah? And tactics under information search are facilitated by several social commerce tools. One, comments and conversations that you see, especially in the what zone? Community, right? So here's an example. In here, I said, hey, I decided to search on Tesla in Facebook. And in here, I got to see a number of people. I know this person here, Jen Louie. I know Robin Pitchford, and I know Steve Seekins. These are all people in my network who recently have either bought, test-driven, or somehow posted a comment about the brand that I'm interested in. Okay? For instance, Robin said Mike just picked up his Tesla Model 3. Steve Seekins said, so today I had the chance to drive my son Michael's new Tesla vehicle. What a car. It's actually hard to describe how fantastic this vehicle actually is. The cabin is sleek and uncrowded. And then Jen Louie, my friend in Hawaii, said this house is amazing. Tesla, Powerwall, and automation by smart homes. I like the sound of that. Okay, so anyway, so it was really interesting that I have 3 friends who recently, at that time, had all had some interaction or purchased or had somebody in their life purchase the car. Okay, so if I'm a person who's influenced by what my friends or people in my peer group are doing, that just raised my interest about that brand considerably. Ratings and reviews posted on sites. So, this could be Yelp, this could be Zagat. Do you guys know what Zagat is? It's for people who are interested in going out to eat at good restaurants. Okay, they'll do reviews on restaurants and they'll give a restaurant a score or a number. So here's an example now where I'm looking at Yelp, same thing, Tesla, and this time when I looked at Tesla on Yelp, I got, some ratings and customer reviews of local Tesla dealers. So if I'm thinking really hard now about, where am I going to go buy my Tesla? And I saw one location in particular had outstanding reviews in comparison to some of the others, I'm highly likely to be influenced to go there. Product and pricing information that gets tagged to image posts, because certainly part of the decision is what's the price. Also, social queries on social network sites come up a lot. So that's what I did before. I just showed you a social query on Tesla that I did on Facebook and one that I did on Yelp. Also, social sharing of wish lists and gift registries. Do you guys have friends in your life right now that are getting married yet? Have you received this couple is registered at these stores and this is what's on there? Finally, you've got conversational commerce. This is the use of these things called chatbots, which are AI and database-driven conversations between a consumer and a machine. Let me show you some examples of that. Here, chatbot checkouts. One final example of social commerce that's critical to point out is called chatbot checkouts. The ability for a user to find and purchase a product by chatting with a chatbot within a social platform. For instance, consider Snap Travel's Facebook Messenger bot, which helps people find hotel deals and book rooms right from within Messenger. So this is the screen grab from it. How many stars does the hotel have? What's the budget range? What's the name of the hotel? Are you traveling for work? Show results. So it's collecting information from you as a shopper, and then based on all the input that you put into it, it's going to feed you back a number of options that more or less fit within your interests or requirements. Social media checkout capabilities. One of the best examples of social commerce is the ability to click a product and check out right from within a social media site, like Instagram or Facebook. For instance, in 2018, Instagram released a checkout feature on their app that allows you to click on a product within a post, choose a size and a color, and proceed to payment within the platform. The first time you use Instagram's checkout feature, you simply need to enter your name, email, billing info, and shipping address. And once your order is complete, Instagram saves that information so that you never have to do it again. I mean, that's convenient. Additionally, you'll receive notification about shipping and delivery right from within Instagram, so you can also track your purchase without leaving the app. Have you guys ever bought anything on Instagram?
Yeah.
What did you buy? Headphones. I bought some AirPods. Is that what they call them? Yeah, but a company called that I'd never heard of, and they turn out to be great, and they're like half the price of the Apple ones too. They're really good. They're like $75, and they're outstanding. Yeah. For instance, let's take a look at what happens when I click the View Products button. Okay, so here's the ad that somebody saw in Instagram. Make it a little smaller. So here's the ad, right? And you're seeing here's the product. Nike women, meet our newest obsession, Nike Joyride, designed with 10,000 plus tiny beads, shaping your foot to make running feel as fun and easy as possible. And that's the sort of ad that I've seen that led me to buy, those AirPods that I bought. That's not the brand name, but that's what they are. Social commerce plugins and apps. As social commerce continues to rise in popularity, we'll continue to see more plugins and third-party apps emerge to make the process even more seamless for businesses and users alike. For instance, one third-party app called Soldsy allows your followers to make a purchase on one of your products by simply typing sold into the comments section of a post. Once they've commented sold, the app takes care of the rest, emailing the user an invoice to complete. Man, now that's easy, right? So here's a few examples of where that happened. Soldsy notes, as fans comment, your sales trend on Facebook as each photo is shared with your fans' Facebook friends. So remember last week when I was showing you a couple of those other social engagement ads? It was for Virgin Airlines, and it said, that certain friends had just bought tickets on Virgin, or had just liked Virgin's page, or had just visited the page for the first time or something. They're taking that one step further now, and they're actually telling your friends exactly when you bought something. So it's building this social influence thing that we're going to talk more about later. Ultimately, social commerce is a good opportunity to increase brand awareness while also increasing sales. Shoppable ads are a third example. Shoppable ads is another example of social commerce and is currently available on both Instagram and Snapchat. Simply put, shoppable ads allow businesses to tag products in an Instagram or Snapchat sponsored post, ideally creating a more efficient ad to purchase experience. Best of all, this type of social commerce helps businesses collect valuable data on which ads convert prospects into customers immediately. So this stuff is all pretty interesting, isn't it? It's a very powerful way of really getting in your face as an advertiser and converting you into a paid customer, walking you through the whole process. It's powerful. This podcast, Empowered Marketing by Professor Hines, is exclusively sponsored by A-Cubed Marketing Services in Orange County, California. In business since 2013, A-Cubed Marketing offers a complete suite of internet marketing services, including strategic marketing consultation, social media marketing using all forms of social media, campaign creation and management in both paid and owned media, pay-per-click campaigns, search engine optimization, graphic design, and videography. A-Cubed Marketing is owned and managed by Professor Joe Hines. His experience includes over 20 years of Fortune 100 corporate marketing management, as well as 10 years of academic work as professor at California State University Fullerton, Concordia, Biola, Cal Baptist University, and Fullerton College. Find out more about A-Cubed Marketing Services. Use the link on the homepage of this podcast or call A-Cubed Marketing at 714-872-0561.